The figure of the vampire has haunted human imagination for centuries, evolving from a folklore creature to a cultural icon that continues to fascinate modern audiences. These immortal beings, typically characterized by their need to consume human blood, their aversion to sunlight, and their supernatural powers, represent far more than simple monsters in the night. The enduring appeal of vampires may lie in their embodiment of what psychologists call the Dark Triad, a constellation of three malevolent personality traits that, when examined through the lens of vampire mythology, reveals profound insights into both fictional monsters and real human nature. This exploration into the intersection of vampiric characteristics and the Dark Triad illuminates why these creatures continue to captivate us and what they reveal about the darker aspects of human psychology. Vampires in literature and film are traditionally depicted as predatory beings who exist on the margins of human society, using mortals as a food source while maintaining an eerily human appearance. Their dark side extends beyond mere bloodlust to encompass a complete inversion of human morality and social bonds. The vampire's immortality often breeds a cold detachment from human suffering, as the endless procession of human lives becomes meaningless in the face of eternity. Classic vampires like Dracula manipulate and destroy families, seduce the innocent, and show no remorse for the trail of death they leave behind, operating according to an alien moral code that prioritizes their own survival and desires above all else. The vampire's ability to charm victims while simultaneously viewing them as prey creates a disturbing duality that has made these creatures enduring symbols of predatory evil cloaked in aristocratic grace. The Dark Triad is a psychological construct that encompasses three distinct but related personality traits: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Narcissism involves an inflated sense of self-importance, a constant need for admiration, and a lack of empathy for others, with narcissists viewing themselves as superior beings deserving special treatment. Machiavellianism refers to a manipulative personality style characterized by cynical worldviews, emotional detachment, and a willingness to exploit others for personal gain without moral restraint. Psychopathy encompasses a pattern of antisocial behavior, diminished empathy and remorse, bold and disinhibited conduct, and a callous disregard for the rights and feelings of others. While each trait can exist independently, individuals who score high on all three dimensions display a particularly troubling pattern of interpersonal exploitation, emotional coldness, and moral disengagement that can cause significant harm to those around them. The parallels between classic vampire characteristics and Dark Triad traits are striking and reveal why vampires serve as such powerful metaphors for human malevolence. The vampire's grandiose self-perception, belief in their superiority over humans, and sense of entitlement to take what they need mirror the narcissistic dimension, with many vampire narratives depicting these creatures as seeing themselves as evolved beings beyond human moral constraints. The calculated manipulation that vampires employ to gain access to victims, their strategic planning, and their view of humans as mere tools for their purposes directly reflect Machiavellian traits. The vampire's inability to form genuine emotional connections, lack of remorse for killing, and impulsive pursuit of their desires despite consequences demonstrate clear psychopathic characteristics. This alignment is so complete that vampires can be understood as Dark Triad personalities taken to their logical extreme, where the traits are not merely personality characteristics, but essential features of the vampire's very nature. Several psychological theories help explain why the vampire-Dark Triad connection resonates so powerfully with audiences and what it reveals about human nature. Terror management theory suggests that humans create cultural worldviews to manage the anxiety of mortality, and vampires represent a transgressive solution to death. Immortality achieved through embracing rather than transcending our animal nature. The vampire's Dark Triad characteristics may represent our fear that abandoning human morality and connection is the price of escaping death's grasp. Evolutionary psychology offers another perspective, proposing that Dark Triad traits, in moderate forms, may have provided adaptive advantages in competitive environments, and vampires embody these traits in exaggerated, maladaptive forms that both attract and repel us. Social identity theory suggests that vampires serve as the ultimate outgroup, beings who look human but possess fundamentally different values and motivations, allowing us to explore the boundaries of what makes someone truly human versus merely human-shaped. These theoretical frameworks help explain why the vampire myth persists across cultures and continues to evolve with each generation's anxieties about power, sexuality, and moral transgression. The connection between vampirism and personality disorders extends beyond fictional representations into self-help literature and popular psychology. Terms such as emotional vampires, toxic people, psychopaths, and narcissists demonstrate how the construction of the neoliberal self involves marginalizing and stigmatizing undesirable subjectivities. Psychologists have found a correlation between vampirism and various personality disorders, including criminal psychosis and borderline personality disorder. The impact of vampire narratives on how we understand and discuss dark triad personalities in real life has been substantial and multifaceted. Popular culture's portrayal of charismatic vampires has helped the general public recognize that dangerous individuals don't always appear overtly threatening. They can be charming, attractive, and socially skilled, much like real-world individuals high in dark triad traits. The vampire's seductive appeal, despite their predatory nature, mirrors how people with dark triad characteristics can attract followers, romantic partners, and allies even while causing harm, illustrating the disconnect between surface charm and underlying callousness. Clinical psychology has noted that discussing vampiric behavior patterns can help victims of manipulation and abuse recognize toxic relationships, as the metaphor provides an emotionally accessible framework for understanding predatory interpersonal dynamics. The vampire narrative's emphasis on the monster's inability to change or feel genuine remorse also reflects psychological research showing that dark triad traits, particularly psychopathy, are highly resistant to treatment and intervention, suggesting that protection rather than rehabilitation may be the primary recourse for potential victims. Gothic villains and modern vampire figures possess dark triad characteristics, specifically a tendency to lie and manipulate others, selfishness manifested as narcissism, and impulsive behavior. The figures of Lord Byron's Giaour and Emily Bronte's Heathcliff can be seen as predecessors of modern attractive villains, especially vampires in popular culture, who embody these same attractive villainous traits. Contemporary vampire narratives in young adult literature have particularly emphasized the connection between vampirism and dark triad personality traits. The primary villains of popular young adult series, including the vampires of Twilight, may personify societal concerns related to narcissism, lack of self-control, and lack of empathy. The characterization of Aro of the Volturi in Twilight, who violates the boundaries of others for personal gain, symbolizes the unbridled, narcissistic self. Contemporary depictions of vampires, such as Edward Cullen in the Twilight Saga and characters in The Vampire Diaries, are seen as attractive villains, continuing a tradition that originated with the Gothic villain. The anti-heroic qualities of Damon Salvatore from The Vampire Diaries suggest he embodies a sympathetic villain, or dark hero. The potential classification of Twilight's Edward Cullen as a sociopath suffering from antisocial personality disorder contrasts sharply with his perception as a romantic hero, highlighting the complexity of vampire characterization in contemporary fiction. Machiavellian traits appear in Jean-Claude, a vampire character from the Anita Blake series, who is described as a Machiavellian politician and tragic anti-hero. Moody vampires serve as a discriminatory trope conveying desirability traits in popular culture, often appearing in romance stories with narcissistic qualities. Modern reinterpretations of vampires have complicated the traditional dark triad connection, reflecting evolving cultural attitudes toward morality and redemption. Contemporary vampire fiction often features protagonists who struggle against their nature, attempting to develop empathy and moral codes despite their vampiric impulses, which challenges the deterministic view that dark triad traits are immutable. These sympathetic vampires may represent cultural optimism about the possibility of change, or may serve as wish fulfillment fantasies that dangerous individuals can be reformed through love and understanding. A narrative that psychological research suggests is often unrealistic and potentially harmful. The romanticization of vampire-human relationships in popular media has drawn criticism for potentially normalizing dark triad behaviors in romantic partners, teaching audiences to view controlling, manipulative behavior as passionate rather than abusive. This cultural shift reveals tensions in how we grapple with the reality of harmful personality patterns. Do we view them as unchangeable, monster-like traits, or do we maintain hope for transformation and redemption even in the face of evidence suggesting otherwise? The vampire's enduring presence in human culture serves as a dark mirror reflecting our fascination with and fear of the dark triad personality constellation. These immortal predators embody narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy in their purest, most unrestrained forms, allowing us to explore the consequences of complete moral disengagement and interpersonal exploitation through the safe distance of fiction. The intersection of vampire mythology and Dark Triad psychology offers valuable insights into both the appeal of these monsters and the real dangers posed by individuals who share their characteristics, albeit in mortal form. Understanding vampires through the lens of the Dark Triad, and vice versa, equips us with better tools to recognize, understand, and protect ourselves from predatory individuals who, while lacking fangs and supernatural powers, can nevertheless drain the life from those around them with their toxic patterns of behavior and relationship dynamics.